the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. And just a few safety reminders before we do get out there today. Please stay seated throughout the entire duration of our journey, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the truck at all times. It is super bumpy out here, so please stay seated. That is for your own safety. Now take a look up above your heads. There's a handy animal spawning guide up there, and that should give you a pretty good idea of some of the animals that we've seen out here on the reserve in the past. There are a lot of animals that are up on that list, and this place is very, very large, so we definitely will not see all of them. Although we will try our best here today. If you're trying to take pictures, keep those phones or cameras out and ready. These animals could be anywhere at any time. They're constantly moving around, and sadly I cannot stop for all of them, otherwise I definitely would, so keep those phones out. We're going to get moving here. We're going to start our journey off in the Little Aturi Forest. The forest is very dense with leaves and trees, and the animals that live here have a pretty natural camouflage that they'll use to help hide and protect themselves from predators, threats, and us too, so just keep your eyes peeled. These can be pretty difficult to find sometimes. On the right hand side, that's an okapi, a brown animal with zebra-like stripes on their backside. Okapis are not related to zebras at all, as they are the closest living relative to the giraffe. We know that because of their skull structure. It's basically identical and just a little bit smaller. On our left-hand side, there's a large black and white colored bird at the top of the hill there. That is a saddle-billed stork, getting its name for the yellow-shaped shield on its bill. Now, if there's one, there's probably two. Those birds do mate for life, and I know that that bird has a mate, so somewhere over here there's another one. Saddle-billed storks are also one of the only birds in the entire world that actually doesn't vocalize. They can't make any bird noises. No chirping, no squeaking, no calling, nothing like that. They just rattle their bills, and that's how they'll choose to communicate. We're coming up on one of my personal favorite animals on our left-hand side. This is one of the hardest animals to spot in the wild. This is going to be a black rhino that is on our left-hand side. Looks like it is eating off of that log there. Pretty amazing to see. Like I said, one of the hardest animals to see in the wild. Shy, reclusive, extremely rare too. One of the rarest kinds of rhinos. About a decade ago, there was less than 5,000 of these animals in the entire world. Their numbers have since nearly doubled thanks to some awesome conservation efforts. It is looking out for the black rhino as well as many other species of rhino across the globe. You might have seen that rhino wasn't really colored black. It was more of a brown rhino. Definitely has been rolling around in the mud. They do that to help protect their skin. So one last spot that I want to check over on this left-hand side. Sometimes we find animals over on these hills here. I don't see anyone. I do want to look over down by this watering hole though. There's a little small one over here. Sometimes they're in the corners. In between the two bushes over there, there is a gray antelope. It is a greater kudu. It's way back there. You can see she's faced away from us. She's just sitting down. You can see her white stripes that she has on her body. She is a she. Only male greater kudus have horns. There's one on the spotting guide. That's a male. That was a female though. There was also a bongo back there too. I very briefly spotted it. We call them the ghosts of the forest. They're really good at hiding. So that's going to do it for the forest ecosystem. We'll move on here and take our next right, and that'll lead us down to the Safi River Valley, which is the largest river here in the reserve. So let's see what we can find here today. Mostly aquatic and semi-aquatic animals. On the right-hand side, there's going to be some large gray birds along the sides of the riverbank here. These are pink-backed pelicans. They're mostly gray in color. They have a little bit of pink on their back, on their bill. That's where they get their name from. But the most noteworthy thing about the pink-backed pelican is actually how large they are. They're one of the largest flighted birds on Earth, having a wingspan that's up to 9 feet wide. Let's stay seated for me, please. Just make sure everyone is staying seated on a bench for me. Now 9 feet wide is the same width as those benches that you're going to be sitting on, and almost as large as the canopy that is above your heads. Very, very large birds. They can fly for about 24 hours straight. Long time in the air. Alright, now we're going to keep our eyes peeled. We're looking for things like ripples, bubbles, and shadows that might indicate that there could be an animal under the water. Most of these animals that are in the river are semi-aquatic and spend the majority of their day under the water. It is looking pretty still right now, so I want to go check around the corner. There's a group of waterfalls that we're coming up on, and sometimes we find animals over here. I don't think we're going to see anyone, though. I do want to check on the other side of these rocks, though. Sometimes we find animals on the opposite side over here. So there is a Nile crocodile. It's on your left. It's underneath the log, underneath the water. Keep your eyes peeled, but I do need, once again, everyone to stay seated for me. Stay seated. This is a Nile crocodile, a very defensive territorial animal that does eat whatever moves in front of its face. Not kidding. They will literally eat anything because they are omnivores. And crocodiles eat up to half of their body weight in just one singular sitting. That's 250 pounds worth of food for a 500-pound animal. a normal lunch for them. They can go actually multiple months without eating any food at all, though, when their food is scarce. They're very good at conserving their energy and their own internal body temperature, because crocodiles are cold-blooded animals. They can't regulate their own internal body temperature on their own. They have to rely on things like water or the sun to help warm them or cool them. Now, our scenery is about to change in some pretty major ways, so we're about to make our way down into the savannah here. The savannah and its grasslands are larger and home to more animals than all of the other ecosystems combined, because most of the animals that live out here are going to be migrators. In fact, literally millions of animals will travel across these grasslands every single year, looking for things like food, water, or a place to have their young. So, let's see if we can find out here. I think I already saw some migrators. Some of the best migrators in the world are going to be zebras. There are a few zebras on our right-hand side. They're pretty far away, out towards that middle section of the savannah there. We're going to get closer to them in a few moments. Looks like there's also... Oh, I missed the Ankole cattle. There's Ankole cattle in the corner back there. We'll come back to them. There is an eland that is walking towards us right now. It's going to be... Oh, there's two elands here. One on the right, one on the left. The female, she's very, very close to us on the left-hand side here. We're going to be squeezing right past her. Okay, so there are a lot of animals here. I'm going to try and talk about them in a relatively quick fashion, because there are so many of them. All right, elands, largest antelope species on Earth. There's a male on the right, female on the left. Fully grown, a male like that one can weigh 2,200 pounds or just over a ton, and he can jump 6 feet in the air. Surprisingly agile. Hello there. This is a female. She's a little bit smaller. She has skinnier but longer horns. There you go. Males try to impress the females by wearing crowns of like grass and leaves on their head. They dig them in the bushes, wear them, try to impress them. On the left-hand side, under the den there, you're going to see the African painted dog, which are these beautiful spotted animals that are laying down under there. Painted dogs are the best hunter in the entire savannah. They're actually better at hunting than lions and hyenas combined, and that is thanks to teamwork and endurance. It's literally the best hunter in the entire savannah. That's not even a joke. Related to dogs that you might have at your own home, part of the canid family, very closely related. So there are going to be some Maasai giraffes around us, but really quickly, I want to talk about the emblem of our reserve here. That would be the sable antelope on both sides of the truck here, the brown animals with really big horns. But check out how sharp they are on the end. Sables are our emblem because they're one of the only animals that will choose to fight instead of running away when they're presented with a threat. That, my friends, on our left-hand side is a baby Maasai giraffe. That is the newest member of the reserve here. That little guy is just over 6 months old. He's very small still. 9 to 10-ish feet tall, very, very small. He's got his head in the stump there. And you can see the other members of his tower. That is a group name for giraffes. Pretty self-explanatory. Giraffes do tower over every single land mammal in the world. No one is taller than a giraffe is. On average, they get up to be 18 feet tall, and that is just the average. Some of these giraffes will get all the way up to 20 feet tall. They're very, very tall animals. That is why they're called a tower, once again, towering over every single land mammal in the world. Giraffes are relatively simple animals. They spend most of their days standing up and eating. You rarely ever see giraffes sitting. It takes a lot of energy to get back up. Now, before we do talk about these zebras, I want to talk about the Ankole cattle really quickly because I missed it earlier. They're coming up on our right-hand side here. They're back there. They're all laying down. They're brown animals with really big horns. They're up to 8 feet long tip to tip. They're all laying down back there. Ankole cattle are one of the first animals to be domesticated ever. That was over 2,000 years ago. And they were domesticated as a a status symbol, basically, for farmers. These are Hartmann's mountain zebra on the right-hand side. These beautiful striped animals. They are really, really good migrators. I'm going to pull up farther so we can get closer to the wildebeest as well. So the zebras and the wildebeest, they actually are pretty good friends. They like to migrate together. It makes it easier for them to survive these long passings and long crossings. They're both friendly and non-territorial, so they'd rather just go together. It makes it safer and easier for them to survive. Zebras can do about 300 miles at a time. Meanwhile, the wildebeest can do about 1,000 miles at a time before they need to take a major break. The wildebeest are literally one of the best migrators in the entire world. I can also see that other member of the giraffe tower there. Giraffes eat off of trees and bushes. They're a browsing animal, not a grazer. A grazer is going to eat off the ground. Ankole cattle, wildebeest, zebras, they are all grazers. They eat grass off the ground. Giraffes, though, spend 16 to 20 hours out of their entire day just eating. That is a lot of time spent eating. That's how they get the energy that they need to stay awake for so long, and it's how they get some of the water supply that they need to survive. It is pretty difficult for a giraffe to dip its head all the way down to a watering hole, so if they can access some of the water from the leaves themselves, they will. All right, now we're heading out to the northern section of the savannah now. Hopefully we can find some pretty interesting animals, maybe the animal that's been knocking down all these trees around us, so we'll keep an eye out. We're also headed towards another watering hole. On the right-hand side, you're going to see the largest land mammals on Earth. Those would be African elephants, plural. There are two of them over there. Let me pull around the corner. We can see them better from the other side here. These are both going to be females. Hold on, really quickly. There's a mandrill. There's 3 mandrills on our left-hand side. That's awesome. Yes, if you know Rafiki is a mandrill. They have this beautiful blue and red color on their backside and on the front of their faces. Especially that male right there, the really big one. He is a lot brighter than the other two. If he turns and you see his face, it is very brightly colored. He'll weigh 100 pounds to be the size of a medium-sized dog. They're really big for being a monkey. There's those African elephants on your right-hand side, both females. We know this because they're being social and there's more than one of them in one spot. Males are solitary animals. They are kicked out of their families at a young age. That is normal for being a male. Females, on the other hand, they're highly social, so if you see more than one, probably going to be females. If you see just one, probably a male. Bulldozers of the savannah. They knock down trees, makes it easier for them to get food because they will take in up to 400 pounds worth of food every single day. That is a lot of food. That's one of the only ways that they can get up to their large size. So we're going to head deeper into elephant country here. Hopefully we can maybe go find a male or maybe even another herd of females here. Alright, now we're going to keep moving, see if we can go find some more elephants. Unfortunately, it is becoming harder and harder for us to find these animals. Even the elephants, they are losing their homes, and that is causing a decline in their numbers. Now, why are these animals losing their homes? Well, it is a bunch of different reasons, but the biggest reason is habitat loss. Habitat loss collectively affects almost every single animal out here. Elephants' homes are being completely overmined for minerals like coltan that are found in things like your cell phones and in your electronics. So one of the easiest ways to help the elephant out is just by simply recycling your electronics. By reusing, conserving, and repurposing those minerals on the inside of them, we can help slow the destruction of their homes and help to eventually raise their numbers. So recycle those electronics when you can. It is incredibly easy, and that's the great thing about conservation, is that if we can do these easy things, they can add up. It can make a really big difference on all kinds of animals, like the elephant and the environment that we all share. Now, I did spot another herd of females. They were pretty far away from us. Oh, hi, wow. There's a baby elephant that is running around over here. I did not expect to see her over here. Thought she was going to be back with her family over there. That's her mother, though. Oh, they're off the move. Hold on, we got to go catch her. This is the newest member of the elephant herd. She is about 1.5 years old. She is still extremely small. They are flying. They're going faster than I am. That is wild. Let's see if we can catch them really quickly before they go. Here she is. So, like I said, newest member of the elephant herd. Looks like she has a lot of energy right now. Running around with her family. We'll stop and watch them for a second here. Elephants are incredible animals. They're one of the smartest animals in the world. One of the most intelligent, caring, emotional animals as well, especially for their young. Baby elephants are an extremely important part of their families and their social dynamics because they are pregnant for 22 months, nearly 2 years. That's the longest pregnancy of any land mammal in the entire world. Keep your eyes peeled as we circle around the corner here. These are greater flamingos on our left-hand side, largest species of flamingo in the world. Also, they don't shade of pink, so they're not very vibrant, but they do get their pink from a protein in their diet. It's called beta-carotene. Let's see. She's up and running again. There she goes. There she goes. So that's actually not her mom. That's her sister right there. They're very close. The two of them are inseparable. It is amazing. You guys are looking at a multi-generational herd of elephants with your own eyes. It is amazing. Very tightly knit animals. Female elephants never leave each other. They spend their entire lives together with the exact same group of girls. It is incredible. All right, that was pretty awesome. So we're gonna head a little bit farther here, see what else we can find. These animals in this next part of Savannah are a little bit harder to find. It's just denser in here, so they are a little bit better at hiding, but they've definitely been nearby. The best indicator of that is that giant pile of mud that's seen on your left-hand side there. Mud is very useful for a lot of different animals out here. Like elephants and rhinos, they both will use it to help protect their skin. Both of them have some pretty sensitive skin. Not only can it cool them down, it's going to help defend from sunburns and bug bites. So we'll keep our eyes peeled, see if we can find maybe some of those rhinos. They've definitely been here recently. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. And then also, I want to check around this left-hand side. Sometimes we find animals over here, but the animals that we are looking for are good at camouflaging themselves. There's two cheetahs in the very left corner. If you look at the base of the rock that's in the very, very left over there, there is two of them. Fastest land mammals on Earth, running up to 70 miles per hour, and reaching that speed in just 3 seconds. Uh-oh, there's ostriches over here as well. The fastest land bird in the world. Matter of fact, this is the... Okay, so you're looking at the fastest four-legged animal and the fastest two-legged animal in just one place. That's pretty awesome. There's also more cheetahs back there as well. Two more of them. The ostrich can run 45 miles an hour on just two legs. They're the fastest two-legged animal on Earth. The cheetah can run 70 miles per hour and reach that speed in just 3 seconds. They're very fast, agile animals, and they are excellent hunters. Cheetahs like to hunt during the daytime when it is hot outside, and they're one of the only cats that does that. Most cats like to hunt at nighttime when it's cooler out and when their eyesight is better, but not cheetahs though. This is a lion coming up on our left-hand side, one of the most incredible big cats of the world. She's perched on top of the rocks there. That's a female lion. We know that because she doesn't have a mane, and only male lions have manes. I'm going to pull around to the other side so we can see her better. Looks like, oh, there's a male and a female, too. Great view of this pride here. We're looking at the rhino that's on our right-hand side. There's two of them up there, as well as two water bugs. There's a lot of animals here, so we'll just stop for a second and observe all of them. Alright, water bugs on the right hand side. Shy brown antelopes. They like to hang out on their own, they don't cause trouble, they don't bother each other. This is a pride of lions, a group of lions, generally consisting of one male, 2 to 5 females, and their young. Now the male is of course the only one with a mane. It's not that big because he is a younger male, but they do have a lot of growing up to do. Now they're doing what lions do during the daytime normally, which is sleeping or resting. They like to conserve their energy, saving their energy for the evening when the temperature is cooler and when they like to do their hunting. They do like to hunt at night. Their eyesight is about 6 times better than us humans at nighttime. We're also coming up on a very special animal on our left-hand side. We're going to see some warthogs here. Warthogs are really cool animals, extremely misunderstood in my opinion. A lot of people call warthogs Pumbaa. Pumbaa is a funny word that means foolish one. Warthogs are not foolish. In fact, they're one of the most intelligent animals in the world. They are related to pigs. Pigs are one of the smartest animals in the world. Now you can see that they have tusks, 2 sets, one on the top of their mouth and then one on the bottom. They're made out of ivory, same stuff that makes up an elephant's tusk, but not a rhino's horn, because those are made out of keratin. That's the same stuff that makes up our own hair and fingernails. So it literally has no value at all, no medicinal properties like a lot of legends say. Literally worth nothing. Those are white rhinos. My favorite animals, they are the second largest land mammals on Earth, only second to an elephant and double the size of a black rhino, weighing in at right around 6,000 pounds. On our right hand side, there is a group of ostrich eggs down on the ground there. Those are the largest eggs in the world. They're going to weigh 3 pounds apiece, or 24 chicken eggs as an equivalent. And I only mentioned the chicken egg because an ostrich egg is so strong that us humans could actually stand on one of them and they wouldn't even crack, having to support the weight of a fully grown ostrich, which, like I said, could be up to 300 pounds. Moving into the final section of the reserve now, the warden that lives here does keep some domesticated animals. We're looking for the Nigerian dwarf goat. They're going to be on our left-hand side here. They're very friendly, social, and they are domesticated too because these goats produce a sweet milk and a cheese that can be used for trade. Not only does that provide farmers with a source of income, these goats will take up significantly less room than other milk-producing animals like cows. It's a really easy way for farmers to help out with conservation. are now headed back towards the villages of Harambe. So sadly, our safari is coming to a close. I'll talk about conservation one more time. The majority of these animals that we saw here today are endangered, and I like to ask the why question. You know, why are we here today? Why are we on a safari? Why are we on a reserve in the first place? Well, a reserve is a piece of land that's been saved or reserved for these animals to call home. Because honestly, guys, these animals are losing their homes everywhere, and some of them don't even have a place to live in the wild anymore. So they come to a reserve like this where they can be protected from things like poaching, habitat loss, or deforestation, just to name a few of the issues that they're currently facing. And luckily though, it's not all bad. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we can help these animals if we choose our actions quickly and decisively. So for us, let's start with the easy things first, like the 3 R's. Remember, reduce, reuse, and recycle everything that you possibly can, especially your paper, plastics, and electronics. Recycling is super easy. Every single one of us on this truck is capable of doing it. Another easy thing that I love to do, and I encourage everyone to do, is just learning. If you saw an animal that you loved or sparked your interest in the slightest, go home, do a little bit of simple research on that animal, and then be sure to share what you learned. By learning, sharing, and just talking about these animals, it's one of the easiest ways to raise awareness. So I do challenge you all, don't let your learning stop here, and continue to educate yourselves on some of these amazing animals. Even animals that might be back at home, they all do need help.